Thank you, Provost Batson, and thank you for your, and all of the Drake community support for the Harkin Institute. We love being here at Drake. This is a great college, and I would just say that Drake has been a great sort of a partner, parent for our institute in allowing us really what I would just say is unfettered access to studies and to programs and to research, so that there's no any kind of what should I say, restrictions. And so we have a lot of freedom to operate and to look into different issues of public concern, and this being one of them. So good morning, thank you all for attending and for your interest in promoting a more healthy agricultural practices. Again, first of all, thank you to Dr. Jim Merchant, the founder and dean of the College of Public Health, as Dr. Matson just said, at the University of Iowa. He has been a friend and an advisor of mine for over 30 years. So it's just a long, long friendship for me, and a long time access to a real true public health official and someone who has worked all his life in promoting public health. And also Dr. Robert Martin, Director Emeritus of the Center for a Livable Future at Johns Hopkins University. So thank you both for your work and for putting together this book, which comes at a most critical time. Thank you to all those who did so much research and data analyzing and wrote the chapters in the book. Thank you to all of our panels and presenters who will be here today and tomorrow. And again, welcome to the Harkin Institute for Public Policy and Citizen Engagement, as I said, headquartered here at Drake University in Des Moines. I'll just introduce, first of all, our director of the Institute, who is Matt Reed, who is sitting over here. So if you have any suggestions or complaints, see him. And we have a lot of our staff here. Adam Shiver, you just met, who was here to start us off. Adam is our Director of Health and Wellness, the Division on Health and Wellness at the Harkin Institute. I would also thank the people who have set up our CART services. CART, this is computer-assisted real-time captioning, translations. So if you have a hard time hearing, like I do, you might want to get a chair where you can see the CART services for real-time captioning. The Harkin Institute is proud to join in this endeavor to inform the public about the impacts on our health and well-being from confined animal feeding operations, otherwise, as we know, called CAFOs. Let me state at the outset, we cannot continue doing animal agriculture as we now practice it and is accepted. Let me change that just a bit. If we want to have a healthier population, reduce the incidence of respiratory illnesses and cancer-causing agents, and if we wish to have a healthier environment with cleaner water, renewable resources, replenishable soil, wildlife habitat, and overall cleaner air to breathe, then we cannot continue doing animal agriculture as we now practice it and is widely accepted. I would add another component, and that is the degrading of our social infrastructure and the impact on our communities and schools of the vertical integration of all of these large confinement animal feeding operations throughout the state of Iowa and beyond. The decline of diversified crop and animal farming and what that's done to our small communities around the state. The environmental impact of these colossal animal feeding operations, hogs, cattle, and chickens, are evident for all to see, whose eyes and minds have not been clouded by the siren song of the large conglomerate meat processors, Wall Street investors, certain farm organizations, and the lack of incentives for true family farmers for a more sustainable, environmentally friendly animal husbandry. I have spent 40 years on the Ag Committee in the Congress, in the House and the Senate, chaired 2 farm bills, and I look back and I see a lot of the mistakes we made in how we continued with ag policy in America. And at that time, maybe we thought we were doing the right thing. But, you know, what became clear to me later on, as I became more involved in conservation and other and nutrition programs on the Ag Bill, what became clear to me was, like so many in our modern day society, we thought the environment was free. Water's free, air is free, you don't have to worry about it. You can kick the can down the road somewhere. And that was a big mistake. There is a tremendous cost to be paid for our people, as I mentioned, our communities, our health and well-being, by this kind of constant foot on the accelerator growth of monoculture in terms of the grain side, and also on the integrating animal feeding operations on the animal side. What it has done, it has sort of put farmers, quite frankly, on a treadmill. It's kind of hard to figure out how to change because you got a lot invested in land. And I have to agree with Neil Hamilton, who once said, why is it that we take pride every year if land prices go up? Is that a good thing? Or not? We should be questioning that. Is it the land and the value of that, or is it the value of our communities and our social structures and our diversification that leads to a more sustainable type of agriculture? Well, as I said, we made a lot of mistakes. But now we've got to, we can't continue on this way, as I said in my opening statement. As Chris Jones has pointed out in his chapter in the book, the manure by a hog contains about 3 times as much nitrogen and phosphorus as a human being. So taking that figure into account, then just the hog waste in Iowa alone is equivalent to the fecal equivalent of somewhere between 60 and 120 million people. Quite a bit more than the 3.2 million population of the state of Iowa. Imagine a small country with the same area size as Iowa and a population of 1/3 of the total United States and had no waste disposal system except just throw it on the ground. But that's essentially what we do. We just throw it on the ground. Now, I know there are requirements for CAFOs to have a manure management program, but there are powerful economic incentives for the pork growers. They're not even farmers anymore, they're called pork growers, to skirt the provisions of the management plan. Again, the evidence is clearly seen in our polluted rivers and lakes and the number of fish kills that happen from, quote, inadvertent release of stored liquid manure. And again, of course, we have laid thousands of miles of drainage pipe to carry a lot of that waste residue to our streams and rivers. And it's become so efficient. Now, you know, when I was a kid, my father actually worked laying tile. They were those red clay tiles about that long and about that round, and they'd dig these trenches and they'd put the tiles in. And it worked, but they were very inefficient. Then along came trenching tools, these big round trenching tools. And this perforated pipe, well, they could lay 100 times more tile in a day than you ever could by hand before, and they're extremely efficient. I mean, that phosphorus, that nitrogen, that fluid comes right down through the soil, it hits in that, and zoom, it shoots right off into the ditches and the streams and the rivers. Very efficient. And at the same time, efficient in that regard, and at the same time that we created this tile system that is so good at taking runoff, what did we do? We increased the amount of fertilizer and pesticides, insecticides that we put on our crops. And it winds up in our rivers and streams. And again, what happens is that that's the water we need for drinking. So again, it carries that residue to streams and rivers. I guess maybe that's okay if you don't care about the water you drink being purified, and it tastes like weak bleach, not to mention the cost involved in that purification. Also, it's probably okay if you don't care about places to fish, or take your families on a nice weekend outing to a beach or a riverside where kids can splash happily in clean river or lake water. When I was a kid in rural water, we actually used to do that. It was a nice Saturday or Sunday outing. And again, as my friend Neil Hamilton has pointed out in several of his writings and books, we have seen a massive shift from independent family farms to over 85% of swine production controlled by vertically integrated systems. Out-of-state corporations own the majority of pigs in Iowa. I repeat that, out-of-state corporations own the majority of pigs in Iowa. Smithfield, one of the largest pork integrators, is owned by a Chinese conglomerate. Therefore, much of the profits made during the degradation of our soil and water and air doesn't even stay in the state of Iowa to help clean it up. We have gotten way off course in our country and here in the state of Iowa in how we produce meat in a humane, healthy, sustainable, and environmentally sound manner. We need a course correction. That comes with a better informed and motivated citizenry, legislators guided by sound scientific and research data, and the accumulated studies done by epidemiologists and researchers such as those who have contributed to the writing of this book, and the presenters and panelists who you'll hear from today and tomorrow. And just, again, one final word on this. Our public health schools and institutions, such as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, must play a key role in helping guide this course correction that we need in meat production. Undeterred by politics or profits, our public health schools and officials train people, and they do the underappreciated daily work of keeping us healthy and preventing illness and disease. Their input and guidance is vitally needed in this course correction. The Harkin Institute founding document states that, and I quote, "The Harkin Institute exists to inform citizens, inspire creative cooperation, and catalyze change on issues of social justice, fairness, and opportunity. We believe that good public policy requires communication, collaboration, and courtesy from everyone involved. This belief underlies the Harkin Institute's 5 core values of inclusion, education, respect, accessibility, and opportunity." Again, on behalf of the Institute and Drake University too, thank you for being here, for being engaged in what I consider to be long overdue, vitally needed, again, I repeat the words course correction. We have to change the way we're doing agriculture if we want to have a sustainable future, viable communities in the state of Iowa, healthy people, and a future that is bright with renewable resources and undepleted soil. We have to make these changes. We look to you and so many to help us guide in that effort and to inform our citizens and the public of what needs to be done to achieve this. We at the Harkin Institute look forward to helping make this course correction. Thank you very much for being here.